St. Louis Blues are the Stanley Cup champions for the first time in franchise history.
That was a fantastic moment in hockey. The St. Louis Blues won the Stanley Cup in Boston last June. They are still the defending champions on this, the day that the Stanley Cup playoffs would begin. But we're on a pause. Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Hughson in Western Canada. That's Kathryn Tappen in New York. And we have the St. Louis Blues with us together again.
We do, Jim. And for the very first time since professional sports were put on pause, a team assembles. And that is the St. Louis Blues. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 2019-2020 defending Stanley Cup champion Blues. And with that, I welcome in the architect of this wonderful team, General Manager Doug Armstrong. And Army, let's start with you. First off, what does it feel like to see all these wonderful faces back together again?
Yeah, it's been a few weeks. We missed these guys here in St. Louis, and we're looking forward to getting everybody back here and hopefully playing hockey real soon.
And Coach Craig Berube also on the call here. And Coach, when you look at the defending Stanley Cup and you're trying to defend that title, what has been the biggest challenge for you this season in getting the group back on pace to where you guys want to be to ultimately try and win it again?
Yeah, it was. I think our guys did a great job of preparing themselves in the summertime. I know it was a short summer, and you're celebrating because you won a Stanley Cup, and you should be. But they did a great job of staying in shape and coming into camp in really good shape, and that was a great start for us right there. I think we went through some, scenarios at the beginning of the season. There was a lot of things on the go: Hockey Hall of Fame, ring ceremony, different obligations the team had. But I thought that their guys stayed focused, and we really took it game by game, day by day throughout the season. And really, the veteran leadership on our team is excellent, and that's a big part of it. And that's a big part of us not losing momentum this year and having a real good season. And a lot of young guys really developing and becoming better players and better pros. So it was really a team effort all around. I think it starts with Doug at the top in the summertime. His focus, putting the focus towards the coaching staff, and we bring it to the players. That's where it all starts. And it's really been a real team effort this year. And, when you lose a guy like Vladimir Tarasenko, and our players did a great job of scoring by committee and playing for each other. And that's the reason we really didn't lose momentum all year long. And here we are. We're in first place in the West right now.
Sort of an empty time, Doug, because nobody really is sure when we start up again, what's going to happen. And we're all mostly concerned about the people all across our world and their health. But before you and Craig step aside for the players here, do you have a word or two for the fans of St. Louis and for the people who might be tuning in today?
Yeah, for sure. On behalf of the players, our coaching staff, and the entire Blues organization, we want to thank the doctors and nurses and first responders. We're lucky to be employed in a sport, but the real world is right in front of us here, and the work that everyone's doing out there to keep us safe is paramount, and we want to thank everybody for that. And as you said, today's a great day, normally as the start of the playoffs, and the playoffs are about just one group, and that's the players. I know our guys are training hard and getting ready for it, but it's a players podcast, and I think everyone wants to talk to players. So Craig and I will jump off now and let you guys have some fun with the players. And to the guys, thank you very much for jumping on here. I wish we were doing this face-to-face, but stay healthy, stay safe, and we'll talk to you guys real soon.
Great. Doug, Craig, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
So let's switch over to the players and start with Alex Pietrangelo, the captain of the St. Louis Blues. It's one thing to chase a championship, to work as hard as you did all last season and get to the pinnacle. And we know what that last game must feel like for you when you win it. What's it like to go through this season? And your coach mentioned some of the distractions, but do you notice a real difference in being a defending Stanley Cup champion as opposed to chasing the cup?
Well, I think for us, really, you're getting the best from every team. I mean, it was no different when we were playing the teams that have won in previous years. You're going to, get the best from them every single night. But I don't know about these guys. I'm sure, even David Prom feels the same way going to 2 finals, but it all kind of blends itself together into 1 year almost between last year and this year. And the summer goes real quick, but I sound like the coaches now, but I got to reiterate that, everyone did a pretty good job of, kind of honing things in and getting ready for the first game of the season, because it came quick. It was easy to get sidetracked, and before you knew it, you were playing games. So the boys did one heck of a job, but it's certainly a challenge. I mean, it's not easy. I mean, we've had a tough schedule, play some good teams, but again, resilient group, and that's why we've been able to do what we've been able to do.
Ryan O'Reilly, can you add to that in terms of what other teams do and way other teams play and the way you're perceived when you go into every building as the Stanley Cup champion?
Yeah, it's kind of very similar to what Petro said. We're seeing everyone's best game, and I think for us, it really helped with kind of our preparation, learn how to kind of start on time, because we knew, going into every building or teams coming in, they're going to start fast, they're going to start physical, and you can see when we started on time as well, we frustrated teams that eventually got their game and put them away. So we did an excellent job at that, and really, found a way to get to our game quicker than obviously, the year before. But it was good. Everyone contributed in the right way, and it was very nice to see.
By the way, I can't help but notice your guitar is in behind you. And I remember during the playoffs, we played the duet that you did with Max Kerman of the Arkells.
Oh, yeah.
Are you doing any duets with anybody? And is there anybody on this team that you might do a duet with?
Oof, on this team? I don't know. I don't think anyone can really play. I hope.
Barry would love to do a duet with you, all right?
I hope after this whole thing someone can play, but no, it's I've been playing a lot in front of my little guy. He wants me to play all these kids songs and such, so I haven't been playing the stuff I normally like to, but I'm trying to entertain him as best I can.
Wheels on the Bus go round and round. It's a wonderful, wonderful song.
Uh-huh.
Alex Steen is also with us. And Alex, you've had a pretty eventful year, a number of years with the St. Louis Blues. I think you're the longest tenured player on the Blues, and you got to 1,000 games this season. Did it seem like it went by in the blink of an eye, or have you been able to think about what that number of games means to you?
No, it has. It's. I remember when I came into the league, everyone was, a lot of the older veteran guys were kind of telling you to stay in the moment and enjoy it because it goes by so fast. And when you're younger, you don't really think about it as much, but it really truly has. I can't believe it's been as many years as it has been here in St. Louis. We've been very fortunate to be a part of such a great organization and community here. And I think when it hit 950 was a special moment for my father and I, that we could share that accomplishment. And then obviously all the guys on here made that 1,000 game milestone pretty special for us as well. So it's definitely cool moments.
Mackenzie Mchale, when you guys win a championship, it means every other team in the league is gunning for you on a nightly basis. What has been the biggest challenge of defending that Stanley Cup every single night and the pressure of knowing that you guys are going to be the team that everybody's trying to beat this season?
I think winning last year gave us a taste of what it felt like to be on top. So I think it made us more hungry to start the year and get ready to defend the title. So I think we showed that we were ready to defend and make a playoff push. But unfortunately, the season's suspended. But I think we're all excited to make that push once we resume.
And Jordan Kyrou, how have you been able to handle the momentum of going from last season into this season individually for you?
It's been pretty good. Obviously with the run the boys had last year was incredible. And I think just that carries over with the confidence of the team and just everyone knowing their roles. And yeah, we've had a really good season so far.
Sammy Blais, same question for you. The momentum that you had to carry from last season to this season.
I just think that once the season got started, all the boys were really angry, and just the boys wanted to win again. And I think when we realized that we had almost the same group as last year, I think everyone was ready to try at it again. And I think we've done a good job as of late, and we're just excited if the season comes back that we're going to be ready to try again to win it.
Jacob De La Rose, you ended up in a nice situation coming over from Detroit earlier this year, a team that was struggling with their own play, but you come into a situation with the Stanley Cup champion St. Louis Blues. How excited are you to potentially make a run with this group of individuals?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, I was pumped to get traded to one of the best teams in the league, and obviously the best team last year. So yeah, hopefully can get back going here and get a chance to win it too.
David Perron, let's turn to you. If the playoffs began today, you'd be playing the Nashville Predators. They have had a pretty good time they played pretty well against you. What makes them a difficult matchup?
Well, I just think they get up for games against us, and we do as well. But the rivalry right there speaks for itself. We played them a few years ago, and they beat us. They played us pretty well. And I just think their team is pretty deep from their forwards or D that are jumping in the play every single time that they can. They got two really good goalies. So I think it'd be a good matchup. I think the boys would be excited. They're a tough opponent for us, but I think we'd be ready for it.
Let's turn to Justin Falk. First year with the St. Louis Blues. You get your first taste of the National Hockey League playoffs last season with an incredible run with the Carolina Hurricanes. Then you move over to a team that just won the Stanley Cup. Anything that made that more difficult coming to a team that had just bonded together and won the Cup? How did you feel about the move?
Not really. It was actually pretty exciting to join a good team. Kind of knew that I might be on my way out a little bit there. So if that was going to happen, you want to go to another good team and kind of keep it going.
And you've done that. Robert Thomas, let's turn to you. You got to walk around the Enterprise Center, and there's so many legends around there. You get, Al McInnes, you could run into Brett Hull anytime. You could have Bob Plager there. What's it like to be around a team that has such history around it and such great people around the team and the building all the time?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. Obviously, I'm billeted with Walt, so that's a ton of fun. And, I think the coolest thing is, just in the locker room, walking around the rink, you see all these guys coming in and out, and, you can just have conversation with them and kind of just learn from them. So having that history is great and makes it easy to play there.
So I know you're at home now, but when you are at home in St. Louis, you're with Walt, as you mentioned, Keith Tkachuk. How much hockey talk at that is, or is it all hockey talk when you're at home with the Tkachuks?
Mostly with Big Walt, it's all hockey talk. He gets straight to business. So, yeah, I mean, it's great. After games, he always sends me a quick little text. He's able to watch most of them, and so it's always great having that feedback from a guy like that.
That's terrific. Let's turn to Zack Sanford. In February, you had one of the most incredible games you could have as an individual with 4 goals in one hockey game at a time that was so eventful for your team. When you look back on that accomplishment, what comes to mind?
Yeah, that was a pretty crazy game. I mean, great job by all my line mates and teammates for setting me up for those. But, you hear some of the names who have done that before. It's just pretty cool to be, part of a group of guys that can accomplish that.
Had you ever done that before at any level?
Maybe back in New Hampshire Public High School.
Yeah. Great accomplishment in the NHL. Let's turn to Troy Brouwer. Troy, your second stint with the St. Louis Blues, your first one, you scored an absolutely huge goal in the franchise history against Chicago. You've also had a child. It's been an eventful time for you. What is it about St. Louis and the Blues organization that makes you so comfortable to be there?
Everyone's just so welcoming and makes everything so easy for us. When we first got traded here, my wife was 37 weeks pregnant, and we had our little guy, Cade, 3 weeks later. And so, it just made it such a comfortable, easy place to come to. And it's just a fun city. Like, we really enjoy it. It's awesome for families. The people are amazing here. And it just makes it, especially for us this year with the transition, to come in partway through the season, it just made it where we didn't have to worry about a lot of those little intangibles that you have to worry about going to new cities.
We're chatting with the defending Stanley Cup champion St. Louis Blues, and for the very first time, an entire team is assembled since professional sports were put on pause early in March. Colton Parayko, I'm curious if you've been in touch with Blues superfan Layla Anderson.
Of course, yeah. We're chatting. It's always good to catch up. This is the perfect time, obviously, to just stay connected as we're at our homes, and just keep each other entertained a little bit, and make sure that we do our part to stay home and do it that way. So always good to talk with her. She's a warrior and great girl. So yes, we have been.
Awesome. We'll give her our best when you talk to her next time for sure. We're thinking of her. Braden Shen, what was your favorite memory from the Stanley Cup Championship?
I just think the parade. I think you see a lot of guys that have said it before. Best day of my life. I don't think you can top it. Just run around, jump around with fans, having a good time. I think every player enjoyed themselves, and I think it's going to be hard to beat that day. I think the parade by far was the best part.
Ivan Barbashev, same question. What was your favorite part about the Stanley Cup Championship?
I don't know. I think it's a parade. You've seen how much fun the whole city had, and I don't know, just the whole thing that happened last season was just amazing, and the parade was definitely the best one.
Ryan O'Reilly, less than 8 months after you guys won the Stanley Cup, your geographic neighbors, the Kansas City Chiefs, won the Super Bowl. So who has the better barbecue, St. Louis or Kansas City?
Oh, I gotta say St. Louis for sure. I haven't had a ton, but I haven't had much from Kansas City, but I'd bet St. Louis.
Colton Pareko, would you agree with that?
I can agree with that. I've been to Kansas City too, only one time, so I've only tried it once, but I think we're all biased here, and we're all gonna have to go with the St. Louis side.
Robert Bortuzzo, at what point last season did you really start to realize that this group could win a Stanley Cup?
There was a few instances over the stretch after January. I'd say the first was we were building, and then we came out of bye week, and we played some pretty tough teams. We played Tampa, who was a wrecking ball all season, and we played them tight. We beat them 1-0. We ended up winning about eight games after the bye week, which was big for us, and you could tell we were building some. And then closer to the playoff time, it was like the standings were fairly tight, and a couple guys were talking about who do you want to play, and there's a point where everyone was just like, it really doesn't matter who we play. We had such a quiet confidence about our group that has been instilled from our leaders and our staff through the last stretch of hockey before playoffs. So and then through playoffs, it was just every round it didn't matter who we were playing, and I think a couple guys will tell you the story after we lost to Boston in Game 6 at home. There was such a confidence with our group. We just got on the bird, played some cards, and it was such a good feeling that we knew Game 7 was going to be ours.
Very cool. Oscar Sundquist, who of this group has the worst pregame superstitions?
Oh, I don't know. I think I would say Swartzy just running around hitting people during warm-ups. That's pretty annoying. But other than that, I don't really look at what guys are doing. I think most of the guys are kind of really relaxed, and I think I don't look too much into it. But Swartzy is running around hitting people is annoying.
Let's turn to Tyler Bozak. Tyler, you played in Toronto, so you know what it's like to play under the magnifying glass in a Canadian city, and you had 8 years there before you moved to St. Louis. Did you have any idea what kind of a hockey city you were moving to?
Yeah, to be honest, not really. I mean, whenever we played here, it was loud. The building was packed, but I didn't really know the extent of it until I did get here. And I mean, just the passion, it's a sold-out building every night. The fans are loud, and not just that, just in the community, they welcomed our family, and it's a great place to live.
So in the middle of the playoffs, when you're so concentrating on just getting ready for the next game and rest and recovery and play again, one of the neatest things that's gone on in the National Hockey League in recent years is all the parties and things that are going on outside, the way the fans gather, not just in the arena, but outside. During the playoff, did you have any idea what was going on in the city and around you all the time?
I mean, we'd see videos and stuff. I think social media is huge for that. And a lot of us had family in town that kind of took part in a lot of those activities. So everyone really got to enjoy it. The people here love to have a good time and, be outside. The weather's good. So everyone was having a good time, partying it up, and just happy it ended the way it did.
Indeed. Let's turn to Vince Dunn. Can you remind us, Vince, of how Laura Branigan's Gloria became the song that we heard and still hear every time we think about the St. Louis Blues?
Yeah, it was a pretty weird story. We were in Philly for a game, and a couple of the guys went off to a little private bar where they knew a friend. And the guys were watching I think it was the Eagles game, or maybe they were just hanging out. But anyways, they were playing some old classic tunes in there, and Gloria came on, and the boys kind of just jumped on it, started singing it, and loved it. And those guys brought it back into the dressing room, and we put it on after a win, and it kind of just clicked from there. And it was just pretty cool how it was an older song that kind of clicked with the team. And, you saw the city jump on it too. They were playing it when we were on the road, in the city after games and in bars and, local restaurants. So that's pretty cool how everyone kind of jumped on board and it became a thing for our team.
Are you still playing it now, or have you get a new song?
This year we got a new one. We haven't really been too focused on it. It's kind of just been whatever. We didn't want to, carry it over from last year. Kind of just left it in the past. But I think this year it's an Eddie Murphy song, Party All the Time. So, we have a pretty fun group. We like to have our fun. And, I think the song kind of reflects on our group a little bit.
I'm sure we'll get to hear lots of it. Let's go back to Alex Pietrangelo. You've had great praise for some of the greats in St. Louis Blues history that are always around the team, from Brett Hall to Bob Plager was around through all of the playoffs. And, the list goes on of guys who are around there. When you see all of those legends, or when you first saw them, what was your reaction and their reaction to you when you won the Stanley Cup?
Well, I don't think we get to where we are as an organization without those guys. I mean, as cliche as it sounds, this city is an organization are really built on our alumni. If you look at how many are around on a daily basis, or ones that come, and just see their old pals. But I played with some of them. I played with Walt and those guys. So for me, it was special. People come back. Look at Otter. Otter's back. He's coaching. Ryan. The list goes on and on. For me, it was nice to take a step back and watch them share it with each other, because for years, they had fought doing what we tried to do as well up until last year, and to see the happiness on their face. And obviously we all know the story of Bobby Plager and what he means to the city. And that was the one that really hit home for me. And to see the happiness he shared with the alumni, but more importantly, his family, it's a pretty special moment for everyone.
And speaking of legends and people around the St. Louis Blues, that reminds me we should have a real big shout out to John Kelly here right now, who is recovering, and we want to see you back in the broadcast booth by the time you get playing. So get well soon, John. Look forward to seeing you in a rink sometime soon. Jordan Binnington, you have had one of the most incredible 12-month periods that any hockey player could have, from working your way back into the National Hockey League and playing for the Blues, and then the terrific run you had right through to the Stanley Cup championship and on to this season. Can you put into words what the last 12 months have been like for you?
They say trust the process, and the process took a little longer. But once I got up here and got some action, I think we didn't really think. We just played, and we had a lot of work to do, and so it's been a lot of fun. Created a lot of good memories, great memories, and we're in a good spot.
You had a great playoffs. So did Jaden Schwartz. Jaden, you scored 12 goals in the playoffs. So what did you find as you got deeper into the playoffs? Was the difference in the games, in the pressure, in the intensity as the playoffs went along? And why were you able to be as successful as you were scoring goals?
That's a tough one. I think we were just pretty much playing playoff hockey from January on. So we played a lot of, important games, and I think that really brought our team together. And then I didn't really have the best regular season myself, so I feel like I owed it to my teammates to really up my game in the playoffs. And it's obviously the most fun, and it's really exciting. So every one of us just amped our game up, and we brought more. And it was just a fun ride we all went on.
Jake Allen, take us inside that locker room last season and give us something that happened during the Cup run that only the players and the coaches know about.
During that whole run, obviously, spent a lot of time in hotels with the boys. Everyone spent a lot of time together. Even at home. I think we just had a lot of camaraderie, and we had such a great group. Played a lot of cards, drank a lot of wine on the road. It was so relaxed that I think that's why that gave us an extra bit of confidence and calmness going into the game. So I think just we spent so much time together, and a lot of cards. There's a few things won and lost, but a lot of good times together. I think it just almost made everything click that much more.
Alex Steen, do you have anything else interesting that happened between this group that you want to share with us?
I don't know. I agree with Jake. That was obviously one of the cooler parts of the whole ride was how tight we were and how much we hung out together throughout the whole thing. There was, before game 2, it's probably the only story I can recall right now, is Gunny, Sonny, myself, Pareko, and Thorburn went to a sushi restaurant before game 2. And then Gunny got that big winner for us. And then we went back to St. Louis and split the home games. So we went back to Boston for game 5. And the night before there, I think Thorby and Gunny and Sonny can correct me if I'm wrong. Thorby was the one kind of pushing that we had to go back since we won the last time. So we went back there for the sushi again and won game 5 and then went home and had to go back to Boston for game 7. So then there was no real discussion. We just kind of ended up back at that sushi spot. So we went 3 for 3 with the sushi in the belly. So it was pretty good.
Nice. The lucky sushi.
Yeah.
All right, Carl Gunnarsson, you're up next. What do you miss most about other sports being put on pause right now?
Well, worst part I think right now is not watching Premier League, especially since my team Liverpool, we're just that close to taking it home. We'll see if they get it up running soon. But yeah, that's apart from just waiting around here and not watching any other sport, I think that's a big part for me, not watching Premier League.
Yeah, I think everybody's feeling for Liverpool fans right now, that's for sure. Zack Sanford, same question. What do you miss most about other sports not happening right now?
Yeah, kind of the same thing. I guess all I really watch on TV is sports. So, big NBA fan, so I'm missing out on that. I'm just kind of hoping the NFL can get started on time this year.
All right, let's continue on here. What's the most creative thing that you've been doing during the pause, Marco Scandella?
So I'm actually at my cabin about an hour outside Montreal, and I've been going for these nature walks and bringing my axe, and I've actually just been chopping down dead trees and, I don't know, getting some of the frustration out of having to deal with this isolation.
All right, your teammate's getting a good chuckle there. Ivan Barbashev, how about you? Anything creative that you've taken up during this time?
No, not really. Just trying to keep everything simple. We just moved to the house not long ago, so I've been trying to build some stuff in the house, which is, really frustrating. But other than that, not really. Everything's simple.
I'm still thinking it's a scary proposition to see Marco Scandella walking through the woods with an axe. Let's go to Carl Gunnarsson. Carl, there's a silver lining in all this time off. We understand you've welcomed your new son, Otis, and so you've had time to be at home. And what's that been like? And are you going to raise a defenseman or a forward?
Well, if he's like me, a little smart, and like all our Ds, he'll be a defender, right? No, it's been good. As special as it is having a kid, it's been kind of a blessing in disguise to being home here, focus on something else than just waiting around and not know when the season's going to start and all that. It's also been a little scary with what's going on in the world right now, keeping everyone healthy and all that. So it's been good for most part, and he's doing great. His sister's doing great, and mommy's doing great too. So yeah, we're all happy, and it's kind of in that little baby bubble right now, and just keep doing that.
Great to hear. So I heard somebody mention on the call on the show here just a little bit earlier that they had one of their kids running around in the room and said, "I can't imagine what it's like for Alex. Alex Pietrangelo, you've got triplets. what's your off time been like? I'm sure it's not routine.
No, not a routine. Well, for my wife it is. I guess she has to deal with this all the time. So they're hard to stimulate. Let's say that. We're running out of things to do, unfortunately. I mean, we go inside, outside, basement, back upstairs, take a nap, do it all over again. So the guys know that I have a lot of energy, but I think they're wearing me down a little bit more than I thought that they could. So, and they have the attention span that I have, which we all know is about 0. So they do one thing and about 3 seconds later, they want to do another thing. But I think Gunny touched on it the best. The silver lining behind all this is, we don't really get an opportunity to be a dad for a long period of time. So I get so out of the routine. My wife is such a angel taking care of all that I've kind of had to find my own balance and find a routine to help her. So hopefully we can all shake this thing. We had a park that we used to go to and see a bunch of moose and elk and all that and bison, and they closed that. So we're officially out of things to do other than going swimming and playing on the swing set.
Vladimir Tarasenko, you had been skating quite frequently leading up to this pause. What are you most excited about when you're able to get back on the ice?
Yeah, it's been pretty hard year, not playing all year, but was really excited to see what this team achieved, during the season. They play really well, play great hockey. And, I was lucky enough to travel a couple road trips before this pause starts with the guys, feel like a part of the team again more. And, just looking for join guys on ice, practice normally and hopefully play some hockey. So it's, like I said, it's been a long year, but, the hockey will start someday. So just waiting for the day.
We saw recently on social media, you put on the hockey pads as well, and we're playing outside with your kids. What's it been like being home with your family?
Yeah, I think I'm like Petro, but Petro kids is still small, but we have different ages here, 3 kids too. So it's been pretty hard. Sometimes they want to play a lot of games and, keep us busy.
Jordan Binnington, your teammate there, Vladimir, put on his best impersonation of you in that recent social media post. But for you personally, I'm curious to know if you've been scouting Justin Bieber's training methods during his time away as well.
Yeah. Right when I found out the season was paused, I ordered a computer monitor just to get some double screens up there and really study his moves and see when he's picking up his head, how his backhand is. But for the most part, we're just going to wing it.
Well, this has been fantastic. It's great to get you guys all together. And first time since the pause that any sports team, a professional sports team, has been able to get together like this. And we're thankful through these wonders of technology that we can talk to all of the St. Louis Blues. And we hope you're all back in a rink real soon. So we'll leave the final word to your captain, Alex Pietrangelo. You want to send a message to Blues fans and the people of St. Louis on behalf of your team while we're together?
Yeah, fans know that we missed being down Enterprise. I'm sure they miss watching us play too. But I think the biggest thing for me is the more that we can all do our part, the safer we'll all be, and the quicker we'll find a way to get over this hump here. But I really want to make sure, as a group, we thank the frontline workers. Nurses, doctors, but even, people working at the grocery store, delivery drivers, all the things that make my life easier with kids not being able to go to the store and whatnot. So without them, we're not able to feel comfortable in our home. But I think we all just need to make sure we can support our frontline workers and do what we can to help. Every little bit helps right now.
Well said. All of you stay safe, be well. May there always be blue lines on your ice, and let's hope we can get together in a rink sometime soon.
Thank you all so much. Stay safe and healthy. We'll see you soon.